Let's look at how to do motion tracking in After Effects. So go to File, New Project, and we can save this straight away. I'm going to save it as motiontracking.aep, and I'm going to import two assets. First one is source and also awesome troll face. Now I'm going to create a composition by dragging this source to this icon down here, which will create a composition with the same attributes as the source. The next thing I'm going to do for our motion tracking is to add a null object layer. So go to Layer, New, Null Object. So I'll just go back to the source now, and we'll just play that through to see what it does. All it does is moving this ball around the screen. That's the motion we want to track. So just going back to the start. To use motion tracking, the first thing you need to do is make sure the tracker window is open. I've got it down here, but if yours is not up on your screen, go to Window and make sure Tracker is selected, and it'll appear here. So selecting my source, I'm going to click on Track Motion. Now what that does, it adds this track point 1 here. There's a few very important properties of this track point, which we'll talk about. So first thing is I'm going to drag the track point toward my ball over here. Make sure I'm at the start of my composition. And you've got two squares here. Now the outside square has to be outside the ball by a fair margin. The inside square should just be outside the ball. So whatever you're tracking, this inside square should be just outside it. And you can just fiddle around. You can see that it automatically zooms in. So that should be good enough. Saying again, the inside square should be just around the object that you want to track. However, this outside object, it works a bit differently. Depending on the speed of your movement that you want to track, this square will have to be much wider, or maybe just a little bit wider than the inside square. This ball actually moves fairly slowly, so it doesn't have to be that much larger than the inside square. This should be fine, and even that should be fine because the motion is relatively slow. But if the motion is really quick, so jumping from one frame to the next, the ball moves around a lot, then we'd have to make this square a lot larger just to accommodate the ball moving quickly, say from here to where my mouse cursor is now here, in one frame. Then we would have to make sure that our outside square is large enough to accommodate that movement over one frame. But we don't have that much movement with our ball, so we can reduce that. That one should be fine. And you'll notice this little crosshair here. You can move that around. It's not a big deal if it's not perfectly in the middle, but try and have it in the middle, but it won't affect things too much. Okay, so we've set up our track point. The next thing to do is to go back to our tracker here and click on this Analyze Forward button. Now this takes quite a bit of time, so I'll just start it off. What that does is play through your composition, and you can see our ball moving around. It's analyzing the motion frame by frame. It's capturing the data that we need in order to do our motion tracking. Now I'm just going to skip ahead in the video and come back to it once it's done. Analysis is now complete. You can see here the trail, I guess you could call it, of the motion tracking. And you can see that the squares have followed the ball quite well. The next thing to do is click on your null layer, and then you want to go back to your tracker and click apply, and you get this message. Apply dimensions X and Y, click OK to that. So what that's going to do is the motion tracking data will be applied to this null layer. And this null layer will be the parent of any other layers that you want to follow this motion. So I'll just go back to the start. And now we're going to add our awesome troll face to a new layer. And we're going to make that a lot smaller, just to shrink it down a bit. Just going to drag the corners just to make it smaller. Much smaller. We want to make it the same size as our ball, roughly. And that's about it. It's a little bit larger, that's fine. We want to have the troll face track the motion of our ball. So to begin off with, I'm going to have the troll face exactly over the ball. Now importantly, you have to make this awesome troll face layer, you have to make it a child of the null layer. So the null layer contains our motion tracking information, as you can see there. The awesome troll face layer has a parent of the null layer, which contains that motion tracking information. So because it's a child of this null layer, it will also track the motion. So let's play it through just to get a preview of what will happen. So as you can see, it's perfectly tracking the motion of our ball. And that's how you do motion tracking in After Effects.